Darren Dreger pops by. Toronto Maple Leafs will be rolling into town. The Oilers get the Flames, and then boom, we're done for the Olympics. Dregs, I think we have to start. We're going to get to the Leafs for sure. But we're sitting here, Olympics are just around the corner, and the Edmonton Oilers give up a 7th spot to Minnesota. They're 0-6 versus the big 3 teams in the conference, and they're outscored 34-12. So they've got a problem with these great teams in the conference. But we're still sitting here kind of going, do they still have a goaltending issue, or is this just the way the team defends, Dregs?
Well, and is it both? That's probably even worse, right? Yeah, I mean, I think collectively, it's not just, media and the fan base of the Edmonton Oilers. I think league-wide, we're all trying to figure out where the Oilers are and where they might get to. And when you look at how things might line up for the playoffs, and it seems incredibly early to be talking about this, but I think I looked at it this morning, and they'd likely face Seattle in round 1, and they get through Seattle, and then it's the Vegas Golden Knights. And Vegas has their own share of goaltending woes, but given the work of Kelly McCrimmon, are we absolutely sure that his roster is set? With the playoffs post March 6th and the trade deadline. So I think everybody's still trying to figure out what Edmonton has. I mean, we can see the offense. We can see how they can claw their way out of games like they did last week. I mean, they're down and out to San Jose, and then the big boys decide, all right, here we go. Let's get back at it. And they turn the game upside down. But, defensively, there's some work. There's definitely some work in areas of improvement, areas in need that will then hand in hand alleviate some of the heat and pressure on their goaltending. But that has to kick in the near future, because look, there's not that many games left in the regular season, and Edmonton wants to polish things up as much as they can.
And on the goaltending note, Calvin Pickard waived yesterday. Is he picked up today, do you think?
I'd be surprised if he isn't. And waivers are always a difficult thing for us as insiders to chart, because nobody wants to show their hand. Why would you? If you're a team that needs that player, you're not going to waive, to all the media. You go, hey, yeah, we're going to put in a claim.
I do love the idea of a GM texting and being like, hey, Dregs, get it out there. We're going to claim Pickard.
Yeah, can you? Do you mind if I report that? No, I'd prefer you didn't. Yeah. I think we've said this all along, though, haven't we? Just the inevitable of what the Edmonton Oilers were going to force themselves into. And it's not a predicament. This isn't a negative. Of course, it'll be a negative if you lose Cal Pickard on waivers. But this is stuff that goes into roster management. They don't really have a choice. But when I look around the National Hockey League, I can think of some teams that would be looking at that type of goaltender. I mean, Ottawa comes to mind. Ottawa has talked about, their level of goalie depth. Well, it couldn't have been too deep, because they had to go out and bring in James Reimer. So as long as they are settled now with Linus Ullmark and James Reimer, then there isn't a goalie issue. But if you're Steve Staios, I would think you're having that conversation, right? And there's probably some other spots around the league as well. So I'd be surprised if Pickard clears. I would.
Trade freeze is coming up this week. Do you expect a couple of deals before then, or is it going to be quiet going in and then a flurry after the Olympics?
Yeah, I think we will see that flurry after the Olympics, combined with maybe some hustle and bustle in each of the management offices where guys have unrestricted free agents or contracts that they've got to look at and take seriously, right? So I think that 12-day stretch coming out of the Olympics is going to be chaotic, which is a great thing. I mean, it's a spectacle, right? And not just media again, but the fan base loves it. So let's hope that's what it is. I'm told by managers and executives that we should expect deals between now and February 4th. And that's a few days. So what does that look like? Could we see Artemi Panarin find that magical place where he gets the 4-year, $11 million per contract extension, and it's a place he can win and all of those things? That seems like a bit of a stretch. But if you're the New York Rangers and you're protecting the asset, which is clearly what Chris Drury was doing, it felt at that time when they did it a few days back that they had something lined up. But it's also now abundantly clear that nobody is willing yet to step up and give Panarin the contract extension. Otherwise, that deal would be done. So can it happen in the next couple of days? That's the one that we're watching pretty closely. But I think we'll see some smaller stuff. I do. I think that there are managers and clubs out there that they want to try and get the jump. The tricky part, though, is the selling team going to be okay, whatever the return is right now? Because the asks are understandably high. They're high right now. Yeah. Why wouldn't they be? Because then you get post-Olympics into the ticking clock of the March 6th trade deadline. And then that's where the sellers have to come back down to earth with some of their level of expectation. So maybe somebody blinks in the next couple of days prior to the freeze.
Tampa over the last couple of days, the place to be. They had the Gasparilla Pirate Fest, which kicked off Saturday.
That's bananas. You've
been to
goes.
Pirate Fest?
Have you been to Gasparilla?
I've been around it. Okay. Yes, it is just, it's everything you would expect. Who wouldn't want to party with everybody dressed in Pirates uniforms?
Right. But then that leading into the Stadium Series game is just a perfect pairing.
Get up early in the morning, go for a walk, and I was going to say there are dead pirates everywhere, but they're not dead. They're just hammered and they're passed out drunk. So that was my experience with Gasparilla.
But the uniforms, the goalie fight, the Lightning coaching staff
Cooper,
dressed up like the mafia. But your thoughts on all that? It was a carnival atmosphere, but Anthony Cirelli, I don't know if you've heard anything more. It was undisclosed. Yeah. Maybe Cooper said, and I'm paraphrasing, a stinger. Not all that serious heading towards the Olympics here, do you think?
Yeah, well, we don't know, and hopefully we find out today or tomorrow. There were some online doctors who, submitted that it looked like a shoulder injury. Okay, we could see the work being done to Cirelli on the bench, but if it's this, he's going to be week to week. If it's that, he could be well, let's just allow the Tampa Bay Lightning go through this process. But even if it is a day-to-day thing, the day-to-day injuries now are problematic for all the Olympic teams, right? Because you're not weeks away, you're days away. And Anthony Cirelli would be a big blow if he's not available to the Olympic team for John Cooper, because John Cooper loves this man like his son. And he's a heck of a specialist. He's a good hockey player. But that's where now, let's just, for point of conversation here, let's assume he's not good to go.
Yeah.
And we don't have that evidence. That's just fodder for conversation. Then that's where I look at Sam Bennett being the obvious replacement for an Anthony Cirelli. I'm not saying that Bennett wouldn't replace Braden Point if Point isn't able to go, but Wyatt Johnson is closer to Braden Point for me in the type of player and skill set than Sam Bennett is. But Bennett is an excellent penalty killer, face-off guy. All the things that Anthony Cirelli would bring to Team Canada. If he's not good to go, then I think Sam Bennett is a better fit there. But we do have to allow the medical people in Tampa Bay and Hockey Canada to do their due diligence before it's case closed on Anthony Cirelli.
Darren Dreger with us on the show this morning. Interesting times for the Toronto Maple Leafs as maybe they decide to tear this thing down a little bit. I know I've seen some people online as far as the Oilers go talk a little bit about Bobby McMahon, but tell us what he's like and how far do the Leafs go here before the deadline, do you think?
Yeah. Well, they're precarious in terms of their position in the East. They win the shootout game in Vancouver. They'll play back-to-back, Calgary tonight, Edmonton tomorrow before returning for the break. And, I don't think there's enough runway left. I don't. And I can appreciate what Craig Berube is saying. Coaches don't coach differently when they're 8-10 points out of a playoff spot. They don't. They're aware of where they're at in the standings. But this team has lacked consistency and a hunger, basically all season long. They went through a series of games after the reset at Christmas where it looked like they had figured it out. And then inexplicably, they've just lost their way here again. And it's a combination of things. Spotty defense. Toronto's goaltending hasn't been good enough in the big games. So, it points to a sell-off for me. But you're looking at unrestricted free agent guys like Bobby McMahon, like Scott Lawton, Calle Yarncroke, Troy Stetcher, players that you're familiar with here. Bobby McMahon would look good on a lot of contending teams. He's a big dude. He can fly. He can keep pace. So I can appreciate why Edmonton would be talking about the idea of Bobby McMahon, because he'd tick a lot of boxes. He's got a bit of sandpaper to him, but that's not really his game. His game is skate, forecheck, and he gets timely goals. He can be productive. He can. Now, the issue that Toronto would have is, okay, what does his contract extension look like? And, back-to-back 20-goal guys, they're coming in at around $5 million. That's probably market value for Bobby McMahon. So what does Edmonton have, or what does a team have that is going to catch the attention of Brad Treliving in a trade? For me, it's a first-round plus. He's that good. He's that good. So these are the tough decisions that Brad Treliving is going to have to make on all those pending UFAs. And at that point, when he makes them, then he's cutting bait on this year and embracing the idea of the retool.
Dregs, are you following Rashog to the Olympics, or are you getting to stay home?
No. No. No, it's Rashog. It's David Parker, the ace cameraman.
Handsome man.
Who, by the way, do you guys follow Parker on Instagram?
I'm a Facebook friend of his, but I'm not on Instagram with him.
Okay. Well, did he post the pictures of him on the plane in the pod? All right. Do we have to do this?
Those pods are awesome.
I know they're awesome, but all it does is it throws it in the face of the average person, right? Because nobody is spending that kind. Well, not. If you have the means to spend thousands of dollars on the pod to get you to Italy, then I guess that's what you do. But it'll be Parker, it'll be Rashog, and it'll be Mark Masters going on behalf of TSN, and then obviously a slew of other people covering hockey.
No, it should be fun. We'll talk about it next week with you, and we appreciate the time, man.
Okay, guys, have a great week.
There you go. That's Darren Dreger from TSN, obviously, in the Rain Dregs podcast as well. Find that on all podcasting platforms. Joins us on the Firehouse Subs hotline.